right, Deadman's Tome Podcast, your host, Mr. Deadman, and joining us tonight is Zak A. Ferguson. All right, Zak, how's it going?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing all right, but I hear things have not been going so well for you right now.
No, not at all.
Okay, well, let me just do a quick little introduction piece real fast. I just want to shout out for everyone listening that, first off, Deadman's Tome does not support people getting harmed or exploited for the sake of art. I mean, I shouldn't have to say that. And it's regardless of gender. Yeah, we publish horror, and there's a whole lot of death in the pages, right? But that's horror. And they're fiction. Yeah, they might be inspired by real events, but they're fiction. They're not like Dear Diary entries where, like, you know, where it could be, I don't know, detailing of something that happened. And look, in a prior episode, I talked about Will Bernardara, and that's going to be important here. He has become another Nicholas Passion. If you don't know who he is, I did some pieces on him as well. Okay? All I could say is that William is hated, and I understand that Zak has become involved in this whole thing. And I know some of you have already formed an opinion of Zak, but maybe you thought he attacked you. Maybe you feel it in your bones that he did. And I can't tell you what you felt was not real. But what I can say is that hearing his words will go a lot further than reading a post on Facebook. Text lacks tone. Zak can write, and I can tell just from his posts alone, he spills it all out. So I say, let's hear him out. All right, Zak. Hey, Zak, you there? Oh man, did I lose him? Hey, Mr. Ferguson.
Sorry, it cut off for a second there.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ferguson. I think the best place to start.
Around trying to get the best signal.
Oh, okay.
Right. I think I can hear you now.
All right. Well, that's good. Well, I think the best place to
Sorry
start.
about that.
Well, it happens. Technical issues happen. I talked to a guy in prison before. I can't really confirm that I did legally, but all right. So I think the best place to start. It
still keeps cutting out. I'm literally just getting fragmentations. Oh, it was going so well.
Why does that always happen? Okay, hold on. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's try this. So, Zak.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start from the beginning. How did you and Will cross paths?
How did me and Will Bernardara cross paths? He approached Nihilism Revised, and it was with a piece called America. It was just a submission out of the blue. Then he didn't have an online social presence, and for some reason or other, he just came out of the blue. He was friends with everybody else that we were associated with online. So then you're kind of already in a full sense of security, like, oh, this guy's been around, yada, da, da, da. And we read his piece and we thought, wow, this is dark. This is brooding. And then when we got onto a one-on-one rapport with him, he'd been very frank and candid about his criminal past life. And he really he spun a tale that was about how through his art and his writing that he wanted to atone. And, you know, I'm always about the art. I'm always about second chances. So inside me, that really got my my cogs and pistons going. Like I was really engaged with that, and he seemed very intellectual and very into it. Okay.
I mean, so that makes sense. So you guys are a publisher. You work for, or no work for, but you're behind Nihilism Revised, and
yes.
It's you and S.C. Burke, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So William just comes out of the blue. Like you didn't know him beforehand, right?
No.
Okay. So far, it's like he's just another writer who submitted to another publisher. This could have happened to anyone.
Yes, exactly.
And most publishers, I don't think if any publisher actually does a background check. In fact, I don't think any of them do as far as criminal background check. I mean, most of them don't have the tools to do that.
No, no, definitely not.
I mean,
and that's not our style. It's like if someone submits something to you, automatically paranoia doesn't set in. Oh my God, what has he done? Who is he associated with? Oh my God, who is he? Who is this man? Oh my God, background check. He just seemed to be somebody who wanted to write the type of fiction that me and SC really love and encapsulate. We believe that all transgressions, angers, tempers, emotions, they can be quarantined and quantified and put between the pages of books. They have to stay there. Not actual violence, no actual transgressions in society. So when we read it and knew that he had some form of criminal background and he wanted to atone for it through art, it just sparked something, most specifically in me, because I've got a father who's a drug addict. He comes from the same background as Will Bernardara, and I came in it with a sense of not being prejudiced, not being easy to judge, not to be judge, jury and executioner. And I was very negligent because it turned out that the art within the book, within the pages, has translated in his life, and it is petrifying.
Wow. Wow, man. So, okay, so when you say you were attracted to his art, right? You were drawn to his dark prose and his brutal tell.
Yes, his story just came across like something that me and SC always want to achieve in our work. We want to break down the social norm, want to break literary rules, experimentation. We like hard-hitting pieces, very un-PC pieces, but not dangerous pieces that it's going to affect or make people question our sanity and our ideals. Never, ever, ever. It's just about that fictional realm, that being able to tackle tough topics, but without any form of mediation. And his work just spoke to us on that level.
Okay.
We had no idea of his character.
Okay. So
it was literally 2 days after reading his piece that we just started a rapport to try and communicate and, potentially work with him. We've never actually got him to sign anything on the dotted line. Our relationship has been 3 weeks worth, if not less.
Okay. So let's talk about that. So you guys are building a relationship. You're talking to him, building a rapport with him, getting to know him. In that process, like, what did he say? Like how did he seem? How did he act?
Damaged.
Okay.
Damaged and needing a home, needing somewhere where somebody could massage his muse. My role within NR is I don't build the books. I only do second passes on the edits, but I'm there to massage the authors, talk about the philosophy of the writing, and he was pretty one-sided in his conversations. It was about him hating almost everything in his path and how he didn't give a fuck. And I had a few audio snippet conversations with him. I can swear on this, right?
Yes, you can swear. You can sip up some fucks if you want. That's okay.
Okay. And it was. But was it a character? Because for how exacerbated, how aggressive, how ridiculous he perceived himself and projected himself, me and SC were looking at each other like, oh, out of sight, out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. His work is worth it. His work is worth it. And he spoke to me. He spoke my language, like about experimentalism, about social constructs. Because there's a group based in Brighton called the Situationists, and they go out in town, dress up as characters, and they just mess with the public. And it is social experimentation. So talking to him about this, he spoke about how he wanted to do that on a social media platform. So that's where the whole crux of the issue and my implementation in this horrible situation was. He put out a suicide hoax, a death hoax.
Okay, let's talk about that. The death. Well, hold on. Let's put the death hoax on the back burner because that's something that's really good. But let's get a better understanding here as far as Will and y'all's relationship with him. Did Will ever tell you? No, it sounds like Will did tell you about his past, right? His past crime. Like how
not
far
about
did he get?
Not about his crimes specifically. All he ever mentioned was he was put in jail for 6 months, and he's only just been released. And he just told very lofty stories. Mostly, he told me that he had a great relationship with Bronson. No Salvador Bronson or whatever he goes under, the artist, the inmate who's been imprisoned here. Nicholas Winding Refn did a film on him, and he was trying to convince me he was in friendship with him. So it's so easy to get suckered in by somebody who speaks your language, who's like, oh, I really get what you're doing with your work. I'm getting what you're doing. And I put the wall right over my bloody eyes, he did. And no, I didn't know his crimes. And I didn't. In the UK, we don't have a system where if somebody's candid about their crimes and you want to do dig deep and do a checkup on, it doesn't work. You could put someone's name into Google and the first thing it does is show you Facebook posts. It doesn't give you...
I mean, there's a website like VineLink. Does that work over there in the UK?
Not that I know of. I've never tried it, but from what I gathered after this incident has happened, I did put Will Bernardara's name in specifically through our UK sources. Nothing came up only until this issue unravelled, and everyone else was giving out these links where his face was there for everyone to see. Yeah, well, it was jarring.
I'm not sure how it works over there in the UK. Hell, I hear, the EU is what passing laws are really going to change y'all's internet or whatever. That sounds crazy too. That's a whole other thing. But if you type in his name here on Google, like you find the article where he broke into the girlfriend's home, the same girl that he carjacked, that he got a restraining order on, and he broke into her house. I said on the prior show that it was through the door. No, inaccurate. He broke through her bedroom window and was wrestling with her outside in the front yard. No. But I understand that's a past thing. He did time for that. And I understand that even if he told you that, I don't know where you stand. Ever mentioned his crimes, his indiscretions. All he ever mentioned was, I've just come out of prison and I want to atone for whatever I've done through my writing. And that's all I'm about, the art. It sparks something in my brain. Oh, my goodness. You want to change your life through literature? Yeah, and it's extremely naive and it's embarrassing. Well, here I am trying to co-run a press and I haven't got the nous to, reflect and dig deep, and to the extent I really should have, and it's embarrassing. Well, I understand wanting, you hear the message of someone wanting to atone for their sins, for the things they did, for the crimes they've done. That is a powerful message. That's something that appeals to people, and maybe he could be redeemed. Well, I don't know about that.
No. He is Let's not give him that. Don't give him an olive branch. Please don't do that.
No. I would never. I even said I'd rather talk to an ex-KKK member rather than him. Hell, I'd rather talk to the Grand Wizard than talk to him.
You will have a 3-course meal with Nicholas Passion.
Yeah. So you know who Nicholas Passion is too, huh?
I know that because I am a huge fan of Brian Keene's horror podcast, and Will Bernardara is pretty much an extremely more dangerous version than himself.
Yeah, because these Nicholas Passion is, I hate to make fun of him for this, but I think he's physically disabled now. I don't know, but he's not really. He's just annoying at this point. But anyway, So this leads into so you find out this information, right? Or what do you find out first? The death hoax? Is that
in one hit? What did I find out? What about the outcry or the uproar in general, or just about the hoax and my affiliation with it?
More like, I think it's going to go into the hoax, but like the timeline of what happened.
The timeline of what happened was almost a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he put out this fake suicide. It was very awfully written. It was very jagged, and it was ridiculous. And then there was a whole plethora of individuals commenting, saying, "I'm so sorry. I don't really know you, but I'm so sorry." Da 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 da. And it's something so. Something like that, so extreme, so twisted. You think, I've got to apply my logic to this because it's illogical. So my logic behind it was, what was our last conversation? Experimentation, social experimentation, his want to play with things online. And I translated that thought and that process to that. I'm always about the art. I'm all about pushing. But it made me feel uncomfortable. Hey, I was a stickler. I fell for it. And I even reached out to him and said, "Hey, you're all right, man." And he was like, No, dude, it's what we were talking about. I was like, oh, okay. And then when I saw an outpouring of people's overreactions, I thought, how do I make this acceptable to me? It's all irrelevant. It's all ridiculous. Okay, let's go in and play with these people. Is it spiteful as me? I don't know. Maybe I should have just left it, and I should have just.
It sounded like you were in on the joke, though. Like you knew it was just a ploy. It was just something to mess with people, right?
I wasn't really into. I assumed it was a joke at that time.
Okay,
but
so you got me
until...
thinking it was just a joke. Okay, tell me the rest.
No, because it really isn't when it's applied to this bloody accursed individual. Because at the end of it all, it seems of a character who's crying for help, and I did my irrelevant stuff, and I said I joined in on it, and everyone was liking Then you're fervid, like, oh, people are liking it, people are they're getting in on the joke. It was all in jest. And then one individual who was really milking it for all he could about how it upset him and such, and how it was deeply affecting him. I wrote a very ill-conceived, stupid comment saying the coat will get you next, and there's a lot that goes behind my use of that phrase.
Yeah.
Everyone who
the cult will get you next.
Yeah, but in my sense, it was like, "Ooh, the cult will get you next." Ooh, but that does not translate well over Facebook.
Is that the quote I heard where like the eyes of the cults are on you?
Yeah, but I didn't say that. All I said was the coat, along the lines of either the coat will get you next or the coat sees everything. It's stupid. It was me trying to be funny, irrelevant. It was me trying to really pull that guy out of his morose, like... Obviously, it was hurting over it. Obviously, the guy or the theme, I do not know who it was. It was a stranger, as were many of people on his Death Hoax page. And I thought, by the likes and by everyone joining in, we all got it was a joke. And I just felt this one individual was really milking it and really making it his problem when it shouldn't have been. He didn't like it, ignore it. So the guy was taking everything out of hand. So I thought, let's just play about a little bit. If this is what Will's wanting it to be, let's play about with it. And he continued a couple of days later, another death hoax. And by this point, everyone's like, oh, bored. And he mentioned Eat Your Keyboard and SC Burke's Id Cancer by Name. That his skull was stuffed with the pages. And we were kind of like, okay, that's kind of funny. We get it now. He's been very verbose, but he's also being very deliberately and directly satirical. For we know it isn't satire, because after that, it made me uncomfortable because I was questioning his actual intent, and I did have a conversation with SC Burke. His behaviour is not. It can be damaging. Is it false bravado? Is it a character? And me and SC, for the first time in our handling of Nihilism Revised, we pushed him to the side. We neglected him. We're like, I don't want to see what he's putting up on Facebook. It's ridiculous. We don't know what this false bravado is. He's probably trying to make up for his lack of whatever down below or up top. And then a week goes by, and go to my grandparents, come home, turn my phone on, and I have various sources telling me I've crossed the line. And no,
okay.
what have you done now, Zach? Oh, what have you done now? Brian Keane says you're threatening people. Oh, by the way, this woman, Erica Instead, she has a lot to say about you. And
I
was
heard that too. I heard those things that, all I heard about was that, Zak A. Ferguson was threatening people, which is why you saw the comments that I had where I did the previous little
I
blurb
never
about
threatened
this.
anybody. I've never threatened anybody. I've never threatened anyone.
So I do have to ask, I wouldn't be doing it right if I didn't ask the hard questions here. Like, why wouldn't someone think you were threatening them?
Because I don't know where this threat has come from. Only recently it's come to my attention that it was that comment on the death hoax that people have been screenshotting, and they've been implementing that screenshot to the cover photo he used, also to the disgusting post of that I don't even know what it was, a rape pyramid. And I think it was an author called Jeff O'Brien who wrote a post about it, and he shared that image, and that's where I found all these strangers bad-mouthing me. And I've gone in there and I have stuck up for my individuality, trying to explain where the context really is. Those comments are not anything to do with everything that they were finding offensive and rightfully feeling almost jarred and very disturbed by. My comment was on the death hoax because it was in jest. It was in jest, and it was deeply negative, and I'm deeply sorry for that. But that's my petulance and that's my reactionary ways, and it apparently hurts so many. But it's hurt so many more because people are listening to Chinese whispers. If people got contacted me straight away and asked me, what context is this? Did you say this? What is the story behind this? No one wanted to listen. And the more that I was trying to talk to Erica on the comments, I was getting barraged. And then they were trying to put words in my mouth. And before I know it, Erica instead is slating me, slandering me, libel. She's saying I was gaslighting her, telling her how she was feeling. I was just explaining it from my point of view. I'm a very sensitive guy. I'm a very, and sadly, my so function in life, my condition in my life, my autism has an effect in everything I do. It does not negate the fact that I have been very thoughtless, but I get very pedantic, pretentious and hot-headed, and my abrasiveness is not abusive, though. This is what has happened. They've taken my abrasiveness and my desperation to explain, and I think by me sticking up for myself on a page relevatory to something that I wasn't relevant to, they've put one and one together and they've come up with 100, and it hurt. And then when someone told me Brian Keane was going out on his personal page and warning people of me, it hurt, because this is bloody Brian Keane. If I wanted Brian Keane to talk about me, I'd like Brian Keane to talk about me in a positive fashion. I've got all of his bloody... But I love the guy. And what happened to him recently as well, I was kind of shocked that he'd come out of his... out of his own issues, his own personal problems, and this is something that he finds within himself is, oh my God, this Zak character, he must be a menace. Instead of healing, he's gone out and he's felt the need to warn people of me, and it hurt. And it perplexed me, and no one was giving me a chance to explain. Everyone blocked me, unfriended me. And then there was a barrage of various sources sending me all these screenshots, and it got too much. I find it difficult to cope with the most mundane of emotions. I find it difficult just to go to the shop and buy a few things on my list. So all of this, it sent me into a very deep, dark depression. It's jarred me. It's completely... And I'm not excusing it. I know that my comment on that death hoax is petulant. I shouldn't have put it, but people have taken that and translated it to all these various other forms. And because Will Bernardara, Billy Bernardara, even if that's his real name, he's gone out and he's, by association, it's just poison, and it's leaked in. And because they're too cowardly to approach him themselves, because he is a petrifying individual, knowing what he does and to the extent of what he's like the messages he's been sending me also, no wonder. And I think it's easier to go for me because I am the face and the mouthpiece of NR. I have said some controversial and antagonistic things directed at the US extreme horror scene, but that is only just based around my awful experiences. I've never named or shamed. I've never targeted select things, and I used his bloody silly death hoax post to get one over those who done me wrong, whilst also at the same time just trying to make sense of what this guy was doing. I did not know that the guy wanted to project real hate. He wanted to make people hurt as bad as him. And just by being associated with him, it has caused me so much grief, so much hurt, because I am not a dangerous individual. I don't hurt anyone. I pro-rape, misogyny, an apologist, no. I have a family member who was raped at a young age.
All right, one moment. I got a caller coming in. Let me see if I can merge this call real fast. Who is this? I think this might be Richard. Hold on one moment. Let me take it real fast. All right, you're on the Deadman Tome podcast. Is this Richard? Hello?
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 Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, well, I'm Richard Bergen, and I'm a friend of Zach, and I also knew Mr. Bernardara for several days before the incident.
Okay.
And, well, Zach, can you hear me on here?
I can.
All right, so, you know, I guess I can talk about Zach first, and you know how he was feeling about this, because you know he contacted me after this blew up. You know, we had just met like a day ago. You know, I'm pretty new to the scene here, but that contacted me, and he said that, you know, based on all of the, you know, abuse that was directed at him, that it made him feel suicidal. So, yeah, I just thought that, you know, and I had to help talk him off the ledge, so to speak.
Okay, so all this stress has made Zach feel very suicidal, you're saying?
Yes, and, you know, we were talking, somebody said that, you know, because of his condition, you know, because he's autistic, that it's very difficult for him to handle high amounts of stress like this, you know, and he said that he felt like, you know, the whole world was turning on him, the world was closing in, so it was... You know, yeah, it was, I mean, you know, I think it's important, you know, because, you know, obviously, you know, it's, you know, we need to condemn, you know, behavior that is violent, you know, even if we write about violence is never acceptable to do in real life, but at the same time, we have to be careful that we don't fall into kind of, you know, that lynch mob mentality where, you know, it's like, anybody who was ever associated with this guy, you know, they go after you, and, you know, they act like you're just like him, even if you had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I do. You know, I'm listening to this. I'm also trying to merge the call, and my Skype has totally changed to where it's not giving me that easy. Oh, there we go. Zach, are you there?
Hello.
Okay. Good. I was trying to do that too, and listen at the same time. Man, that's hard. Okay. That is so hard. But I think I did a pretty good job. We have a caller on the line who is speaking on your behalf. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. If you wanted to,
Richard Bergen.
Richard Bergens?
Richard,
Okay.
I'm Richard Bergen.
Okay. So Richard Bergen's on the line.
So all of that stuff before, because I was a little bit confused about the different lines here. So did all that stuff get on there? Or?
It did. Oh, everything went on the
Okay, that's
podcast.
good.
I was just trying to merge the call. I'm sorry.
Everything's been on. Okay, that's good.
All right. So now that we're on here, so I got your take on it. And I understand that you're saying that the way Zach was Zach was feeling very suicidal. And when Zach talked to me about it, he did seem pretty rattled about the whole thing. You know, hearing him talk to me, which is by voice messages, okay? And I'm glad he did that because text, I got to tell you guys, in a situation like this, text is not going to work for me because text doesn't have tone, you know? And I think
yeah, it is. That's always the hard part of communicating online. Is it's so difficult, to get the right intent just through text.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I kind of think that if Zach would have used, let's say, like a video to do his little goofy, the cult will get you next, it probably would have played off better. That would have made a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Difference.
But the thing that we haven't really gotten to yet exactly, I feel, is what exactly. So we know it was I'm hearing it was a hoax, but was there something about this hoax?
That hoax was. I mean, I saw that post.
What was it?
It was after I'd already met Mr. Bernardara, and I just assumed it was a joke. Because for a second I thought, that geez, maybe this guy died for real. But like a second later, it was like, okay, nobody just has a cult come to their house and then that's it, they're dead. It just seemed so over the top to me that, I just assumed it was a joke, and it was consistent with the guy's personality as I had seen it thus far.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what does what was the post? Was it like a picture or a video?
I don't remember if there was a picture or a video on there.
It was just a post.
Okay, just a post.
Yeah, that's what I just remembered. It was like, he had text.
Status.
He wrote out his little story, about what happened.
Okay. Well, anything else you'd like to add about the situation?
About the whole experience. Well, yeah, I do have a confession to make that I was briefly friends with Will Bernardara. I met him, and, we hit it off right away. We talked about books and movies, and, the first thing that struck me about him was I thought, he was a really smart guy, to be honest. He was really articulate, and he had a greater knowledge of literature and film than the vast majority of people I met on Facebook, so I figured, well, I want to talk to this guy because, he has a lot of interesting things to say. That was my impression of him at first. And, and as we were friends for, and this is all like over a brief period, I'm new in town, basically, but I did see, warning signs early on, like, I saw, he had this post where he posted pictures of his ex-girlfriend, and, he was talking about how...
Wait, the same ex?
I don't remember...
Sorry.
What did you say?
Was that the same ex that he tried to, tried to assault?
Tried to assault at her house. I don't know if it was the same woman or not. I'm not sure of all the details.
I think he had
about the story. But he was it was like a very aggressive kind of revenge type post.
Mm.
He was clearly very angry at her, and then there was somebody who posted on there who called him out on it, and he got into this long argument with the guy. It was very intense, very insulting. Your classic Facebook flame war. So I thought, well, this guy is kind of angry in trouble, okay, but I wasn't going to give up on him yet. I figured, he's still an interesting guy. He's intelligent. He has a lot of things to say.
Okay.
And there was another post that I saw that I don't think anybody's mentioned yet that I thought was a red flag. It was one where he talked about how he was going to make a video of cutting, like he was going to cut himself, I think, and then film it.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't see the video, but I saw the pictures of it.
Yeah, well, he hasn't made the video yet. He said he was going to make a cutting video, and I figured, well, this guy wants people to think he's edgy and dangerous. He's just doing it for shock value. That was, what I assumed. And I thought the rape pyramid post was just trying to be shock value too. I thought, nobody really believes that rape is okay. Why would I assume that he believes that? It just seems like who the hell would think that? And then, I got to know him a little bit more, and I Googled him.
Yeah. And
I saw the article, and I thought, well, this guy has some pretty serious issues.
Okay.
And that was when I realized, ouch, he's a violent and disturbed guy.
Yeah, I could take that. I mean, from the information I was given, which sounds like about the same that you guys saw, my assessment is that he's pretty violent. He's a psychopath. He's a straight up psychopath.
Well, to be fair, I don't think he's ever killed anyone. We don't have any evidence that he's ever raped anyone either. Although he did tell me a story about how he used to be a crime reporter in Detroit, which is his hometown, and he would, he was a heroin addict at the time, and he would go out and commit crimes, like he would rob people to finance his drug habit, and then he would write about the crimes that he committed the next day because he was a crime reporter.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, to be fair, I don't know if he's a rapist or not. I know that we
don't have any evidence.
His attitudes towards that subject, though, the way he treats it and the way he has continuously attacked one of his exes, and the way he glorified the victim, Regina Walters, of the truck stop kill.
Oh, yeah, of course. When I found out about the profile picture that he had, the picture of the girl, that was when I was like, okay, that's it, this is over.
Yeah, I'd hate to convict someone of a crime they haven't committed or accuse them of a crime they may commit in the future. But I will say, the facts there don't paint a pretty picture. They paint the red flags. Watch out for this person. Watch out for this person.
Oh yeah, of course. And I'm still, I'm still wrestling with the fact, that I was friends with this guy, when I saw some of the warning signs, but it was like, why didn't I feel threatened sooner? Are we all so jaded and desensitized to this sort of thing that we wouldn't even notice if there was a serial killer in our midst? That's what I've been thinking about.
Well, first off, let me help you out there. You're friends with someone online, so it's not like you actually met the guy, That's true. Well,
I say met, I'm so addicted to the internet at this point that I don't differentiate.
Yeah, but I know people say friends and friends online, it's kind of, you feel attachment, but it's not really the same. But I get what you're saying. That you felt like you're friends with them, and I just didn't know. Well, I mean, it's not like,
of course.
It's not like the questions
ever
come up, whenever you make friends with someone, it's not like you do a background check.
No, it's like you don't just meet somebody and say and think, I wonder if this guy, thinks rape is cool or something. It's just like the last thing you would expect of somebody.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's true. You don't just go to people who are your friends, especially, and go, "Hey, can I get your fingerprints? Can I get your background? Can I, you know?"
Yeah.
Can I check your? I mean, you might stalk their Facebook and be like, "Oh, I don't like to post that. I don't like to post this or either that, whatever." But you know, I don't have time for that either. I don't. It's just
exactly.
The things he did though. They do cross the line for me. But wow. So
well, even after I found out about his criminal record, I was like, well, okay, he got. It's kind of like how Zak felt. He got convicted for this back in 2010, so I figured, well, already he's been in prison for years now, and, I figured, well, he's served his time, and he's changed, but then at a certain point I realized he hasn't changed. He's absolutely unapologetic. He's the same deeply disturbed individual that he was back then.
Hey, Zak, what do you think about this?
I think it's what Richard has experienced. It's pretty much mine, but I think that Richard really sealed a friendship and a bond with him. And I think if anyone emotionally has been affected, it's Richard, because I really think. That
I haven't been anywhere near as emotionally affected as you, Zak. You took it. I took it hard, but you took it harder.
Yeah, I'm overtly sensitive. So the thing is, it's.
Hey, that's okay, and no shame.
It was so nice to meet Richard, because Richard is also very candid and frank about his high functioning autism, and it was really nice to meet somebody who understood my overall heightened emotions and the way I am reactionary and the way I do take things. That's why I'm very brusque. I am very abrasive. That's why I do come across as, quite extreme, but I'm never abusive or hurtful. And when I spoke to him and he understood that level, it's so easy also as an autistic individual to be rather naive and and that's not excusing it at all, but it is a great function and element to why I've been perceived as this and how this or that. But to the extent, I think it's affected me more in the long run, because I've been the catalyst for these people's emotions. It's been such a rough few days. These people are angry and hurt. And this was never my intent to come off as abusive. What I really wanted to do was I wanted people to listen. I never wanted to offend, and in doing so, I became very reactionary and blind to my aggressive statements and comments. And to those that I made feel this way, I do truly apologise. Like with Erica instead, she started claiming I made her uncomfortable because I was using the laughing face emoji. I only did that because I did not know how to approach the situation. I literally was so baffled. This rape image, the image of his cover photo, all this information about Will Bernardara, I got in one hit. His history, his past indiscretions, his criminal record, what he did it for, people filtering it through, but doing it in a way where it's accusatory. You knew this. You support this. You're pro-rape. You're an apologist. You're this, you're that. And
somebody called me a rape apologist. Yeah. So that's kind of like the whole lynch mob thing that I'm talking about. No matter how bad somebody is or how bad somebody appears to be, we have a little thing called due process. We have to, we have to punish the guilty and spare the innocent.
Now, one thing I want to get to real fast, though, as I understand that Zak, so you totally disavow this guy, right? Like, you want nothing to do with him? Is that what I hear?
I do not want nothing to do with him. Nothing at all. When that came to light, I approached him and basically said, you need to disassociate yourself from Nihilism Revised. Then it came to light that he was using our name on that fucking image on his cover photo, and it infuriated me. And everything came crumbling down. The facade, the stories, the wall pulled over my eyes. It crumbled. I tore it off, and it it's shocking, it's jarring. I find it hard to manage emotions as it is, so it's always overtly heightened. But I feel like I've been through the ringer. I've been bullied, I've been harassed, and there's a great hypocrisy that is going on with this situation. All these people who claim that everybody who feels that they've been affected so extremely by Bernardara's behaviour, the way that nobody was listening to me, giving me the benefit of the doubt, blocking me, spreading rumours, almost, Chinese whispers, passing out this screenshot image that contextually, content-wise, it was not relevant to what these certain people had picked him up on. It was about his the thing is, as for my support of Will Bernardara, I will not and do not condone his actions or behaviours, in no way at all support his ideologies towards violence and rape. I just do not. That's not my style. I misjudged his intent in a death hoax, and I made some unsavoury statements that have been seen in a certain way, but it was not what I intended. I don't feel too proud of the comment that I left in the death hoax. Embarrassed, actually, but the gist of it all was being rather negative, and I'm deeply sorry, but it's my petulance, my reactionary behaviour, and nobody wanted to listen. And what furthered it was people kept screenshotting the vile accusations of... I've not ever gone out my way to threaten anyone on Will Bernardara's behalf. And if anyone hears that, they will take that and they will assume that I'm behind my laptop. I'm going to get you from my friend Will.
Hold on. Let me help you out here. Because I understand Will understands this. That Will knows that you do not support him anymore.
Yeah.
And you have provided me with screenshots of y'all's conversation. And you've given me the green light to read them. Is it right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So legally, I can read them since you are one party of that conversation. And that's all it takes. Okay. Well, at least here in Texas. And that's where this podcast is at. So, anyway. So this conversation, what I'm about to read, is Will's comment to our message to Zach. And it goes... You fucking fraud. You are SC's bitch. I hope that coward's organs shut down tonight because his brain certainly has. That rape pyramid was me showing people how fucking dumb these Redditors with their rape is a myth bullshit is. RC's last message to me was, you have no brothers here. You know why? Because you're just another clique of cowards, fucking cowards. And now here, sorry. I see the screenshots, the way it's cropped off, fucking now and now here. And now everyone will know what you are. Kowtowing pussies who care more about social media than they do art. I've dealt with many publishers and never have I had any micromanage me or bother me the way you idiots did. And you call yourself underground? That's a fucking laugh. See, rotten hell, you followers. You follower. Keep sucking SC's dick, you pussy. That doesn't sound like a message from a friend.
No, not at all. He's not my friend. I'm not his supporter. I'm not going to go out my way to spread vehemence and cause a maelstrom of arrogance, negativity. His ideology is violence, right? Everything he stands for, it's hateful and it's dangerous and it's fucking petrifying. And for people to, almost in a gratuitous fashion, want me to be associated with me, want me to be pro this, pro that, I am nothing of the sort. I'm as jarred and scared and furious that this man got so close to something so precious and pure that is Nihilism Revised. How it's affected our authors personally, association, this, that. But because they can't go to the source, they've gone to the next best thing, me. Why? Yeah. Because of that one stupid mistake I did by entertaining him on his death hoax. Not anything to do with rape, not to do with violence, but centered around a death hoax, around his death.
Yeah. And so for those listening who feel like they were affected or attacked by Zach, I ask you this, like, what do you want from him? He apologized. I read you messages from Will that he clearly is not friends with this guy and does not support him. I ask, is it a possibility that things were just overblown on both sides? Bad reactions, overreactions on both sides. I mean, the horror community is pretty small. I mean, if we cut ties with each other for every little thing, no one's going to work with one another, you know?
And that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and you know, I mean, you're more than just this drama situation that's going on. I mean, Nihilism Revised. I mean, how long has that been around?
It's been around for way before I was even involved. It's all SC Burke's. It's his baby, and he took me in. He took this degenerate, disenfranchised, bitter, angry soul, and SC Burke is my closest, dearest friend. He has done so much. He's made me a better individual. He's given me a career. He's given me a platform where I felt listened to all my life. I felt ostracized. I felt out of place. And he's given me a home and a platform to push for something I'm passionate about, which is artistry. I'm interested in everyone's art, everyone's self-expression, everyone's need to tell a story. And being with NR has been the most beautiful experience of my life. And having this happen, it sent me into a very, very dark place, and over-exacerbated by my sensitivity and my condition.
Okay, and is that how Richard got involved in this as well? Richard, are you part of Nihilism?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I basically met Zach, while this incident was going on. It's kind of weird to meet somebody like one day ago and already I'm doing a show with this guy, but
we're universally bound.
That's right, yeah. But yeah, so Zach, was talking to me about how hard it was for him, so I knew I had to go out in this guy's, defense, and also because a few people were even going after me too, just for being associated with the whole thing, even though I had like a very minor role in it all. I was just like, wrong place, wrong time type situation.
Wrong person.
So, so I knew I had to pick up. Yeah, Facebook is, it's one of those kind of situations.
There's something to that too. I noticed a lot of people saying, "Oh, if you're friends with Will Bernardara," that's his last name up. If you're friends with him, the whiskey's hitting me right now. If you're friends with him on Facebook, then you're no friend of mine. And let me tell you something. Honestly, like, I know I have friends on Facebook, but I don't really check my Facebook that often to like cycle through my friends. So I know I'm not friends with them, but I'm just saying, even if I was, like, I'd be like, come on, we have all accepted friend requests that we don't know. Sometime you've done it. Maybe you're drunk one night. Maybe you weren't thinking. Maybe it was hot out at a party and you're just like bored or what? I don't know. No, lapse of judgment. But man, yeah, the whole lynch mob mentality.
Well, I think that's a big part of the problem. Is that I think and as a society, on social media, we've lost the ability to forgive. We often tend to make like rash and extreme judgments about people, and certainly Will Bernardara is like a very extreme example of all that. But I think we all have the tendency to some degree to kind of just lash out at in a big way online at anybody who, bothers us or who we think is the bad guy, even if we don't really think about it critically.
No, I have to ask you too. What your thoughts are on separating the art from the artist? That's how do y'all feel about that?
Richard, do you want to go first, pal?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I've always, been able to separate the art, from the artist, because, I just figured that, I don't have to be a fan of somebody as a person, but if they do great work, then, that's great work, and that's really all I'm here for. And that was part of what attracted me to Bernardara in the first place was, I could tell he was a psycho fairly early on just from how he was acting, but I thought, well, this guy is interesting, so I want to talk to him some more, even though I didn't really know the full extent of who he was. But, if you look at, many icons throughout history, Roman Polanski, obviously, Alfred Hitchcock, abused his actresses. And, if there are many authors who were alcoholics, insane. Fyodor Dostoevsky was an anti-Semite. So I figure, if you expect artists to, behave perfectly, then really, who are you going to have left? Everybody has their problems, but I think that, we can support the art even if we don't support what the artist does as a person. That's my take on it.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, human beings are pretty messy. Shades of Grey, not to make a reference to that fucking movie or book. But.
Don't you start getting out all the dildos right now? Oh, what is this show gone to now?
Nah, not yet. But I don't know, Zach. Zach, what were you doing in the background? It sounded like you were doing something else. Anyway, Zach, what do you think?
I agree wholeheartedly with Richard. Except if you are the person putting that work out and you're dealing with that individual, this experience has it needed to happen because it's going to help SC and I. That's if I continue working along the lines of Nihilism Revised, considering what's happened. It's really done a number on me emotionally, but let's say it's given me a whole different perspective because that's all I was about. Discard what this individual portrays he is, but when this individual you're working with, it is your duty of care, and this is it. It is our duty of care to ensure that he's not dangerous, that he's not going out being racist, misogynistic, his ideologies towards violence and rape being pretty diabolical and seedy and twisted and immoral and unapologetic. So it's given me a perspective. Like, there's numerous authors out there that are damaged individuals, that they've got select ideologies, they've got select outlooks. Are we personally tied to them? No, we're not. But if you're working with them to the extent that you do, publishing works or making movies, it's going to be very difficult. And from going forward, then there shouldn't be a distinction between artist and individual. There shouldn't be. From my experience now, it's shaded my experience.
It's so hard at times because I know there's plenty of art and music and movies and whatever out there that are created by people who aren't perfect, obviously. There's people out there who create some great content, great material, but yet they're not good people, or at least they wouldn't be good to your standards or my standards or someone else's standards, especially if you go back in time to when certain views are more prominent or had more support.
Just look at our founding fathers; they all owned slaves.
Yeah, right. You're not going to burn the Constitution, right?
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson,
They all did, and they did other things too, But
oh yeah.
I think the situation with Will, I think it's because it's so recent, and because it doesn't seem like he's showing a pattern of behavior that suggests that not only does he's showing a pattern of behavior that he likes this, like he gets a kick out of it, and that he is dangerous. So yeah, I would definitely separate from him.
Well, I would always say that, like, the big difference is that, you know, if somebody does something violent in their past, you know, but feels horrible about it and seeks forgiveness, you know, then
that's one
I
thing.
could forgive them if they're apologetic and that's not who they really are and they promise never to do something like that again. But the difference with Bernardara is he seems like somebody who's going to do it again.
He has no
and, you know, because he
scruples.
thinks it's just okay.
He has no conscience. He has no form of conception. All for him is hate, hate, hate.
Yeah.
He's in his right to hate.
You know
He's
what
in
we need
his
to do?
right.
We need to put him. We need to check him. We need to put him a check. We need to put an Encyclopedia Dramatica page up on him, like Nicholas Passion, and then he'll be pissed off about that for like ever for the rest of his life, and then he'll be humiliated, and then, jeez, what am I advising here? But
the humiliation, though, it's not being directed at him. It's been directed, for some odd reason, it feels solely on me, and I still can't comprehend why this is. And it's
where's his Will guy? Where's his Will guy? I'm talking to you, but you know, if I had a chance to talk with Will, now I know I said I want to bring him on the show, and if I ever did, it would be to like rain a firestorm of like a bunch of questions of like, you gotta explain yourself.
You'd get no coherency from him. It will be, I'll fucking kill you, fuck, motherfucker, fuck, suck dick, fuck you, I'm awesome, you're not. People like that, they don't want to.
Okay, hold on. And let's talk about that. Awesome. Well, the guy has like what, 3 short stories published? Like what does he have? What's his body of work?
That's it, I believe.
Okay.
Well, he told me that he had written 35 different screenplays that, you know, and none of them were ever sold.
I don't believe that. I think, Richard, that our candidness and our openness and our passions, I think he takes that and he uses it. He charms you. He's like a charmer.
Yes, absolutely. He's very charming and
that's how a psychopath works.
He tucks you in and then you're dealing with a psychopath, a crazy, violent guy.
That's how a psychopath works, man. They warm you up. They get to know you. Now I have to ask you guys, because you guys have brought it up about being autistic. Now, and I got 2 things with that. One, how do you think your autism has affected how this reaction has been? Like you know what I'm getting at?
Well, the condition-wise, I think we're more prone to manipulation. We're easily led. We're easily forced into a false sense of security with somebody. We're more, because we feel ostracized as it is because of our social, disadvantages, our social complications, the way our brain overworks, the way that we can go into autistic breakdown out of something that isn't in line with our functioning. We're more prone to open arms if people are accepting us as individuals because we generally do not feel accepted or listened to. So if anybody who's very gung-ho, very as passionate and as knowledgeable as you, it's a very, very appealing, attractive trait. That's how he seeded himself in. And in the handling of the situation, I think Richard is far more mature, far more erudite and far more straight-headed. He can literally say what he means to say without it coming across as abrasive as I do, or as reactionary as I do, or as incoherent as I do. But in all honesty, it's not me being harmful. It's me pleading, please listen to me, because no one listens to me generally, and that's why.
You're also British, though, right? Because from my understanding, my experience of Brits is that you guys are pretty cheeky. You guys are pretty good with the comebacks and the little jabs and things like that.
That's
right?
why I'm glad that I'm from the Midwest, because I have better social skills than many non-autistic people who aren't from the Midwest, just because our culture revolves around being polite and nice all the time.
It's a case of we are very prone to being very inappropriate. We are very prone for saying inappropriate things without any recourse or pre-thought, or it's always we will say something and then 5 minutes later the guilty conscience, the slap in your forehead of, oh my fucking God, this is going to be misconstrued. And sometimes we don't even realise it. It's very easy for things to get muddled, especially when it's on a public platform. Like you said, if it's not on through audio, you get the cadence, you get the tone, you get the sincerity. Online, you don't get the humour, you don't get the intent. And especially with myself personally, I don't want to talk for Richard, it's easy to misconstrue things very easily. But what happened, I thought I was composed. I thought I was handling it. All I was doing was defending myself and my place in the situation. And all I got called was a gaslighter, a supporter of this, that, the other, a danger. And the more that these allegations and accusations spread, my reaction is reactionary. And I'm not proud of it.
Like, they had you, and I say they, I mean the people that were coming after you, from what I understand, is that they even had you apologizing for using phrases like snowflake because it's like an alt-right phrase, but
yeah, I don't really.
Everybody uses that phrase.
All that means you know is that you're fragile.
Yeah.
It's
exactly. That's what it means here. If your snowflake hits a surface, it dissolves. It's sensitive. It's easy to, and everyone was saying, oh, you're liberally minded, you're conservatively minded. I'm not politically agendered anywhere.
Like,
oh no!
What does it even matter if you're conservative or liberal? Like, what the fuck?
They're clutching at straws because they didn't like it that I was very upfront, I was very blunt, I was very truthful, and I started disassembling them as individuals, saying you're self-projecting, you want to put the blame on someone, you want to do this, you want to do, and they didn't like it. And then all of a sudden, this Jeff O'Brien guy's like, I've taken them out of the conversation, you don't talk to a woman like that, not giving me the space to defend myself.
Well, I know exactly how Zach feels. I've had the experience plenty of times, where I say something, I didn't mean to upset anybody. I never mean to upset anybody, but then people get upset and it's just such an overwhelming feeling of dread. It's like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yes.
Has this situation...
that's exactly what it's like, exactly the way he described it. And then you spend a very long time just worrying over and over, like, what do I do now? Does everybody hate me? Or all my enemies going to team up and conspire against me together, and then I'll be finished for life. Or some of that I think is just OCD, which I have too.
And the intrusive thoughts, that's part and parcel of the OCD. But the truth of the matter is as well, all this paranoia, it actually became a real, in my eye, a physical aura. It actually happened. These people have reacted and treated me the way that my mind tells me people want to treat me and are going to treat me. So it has been an overload of emotions.
Now, has this situation reached higher levels? I know you said Brian Keene was coming into this whole thing, but any other members of the Horror Writers Association or anyone else
No. Just a lot of people blocking and a lot of people running my name into the dirt and NihilismRevised's name into the dirt. It's a lot of... It's hypocrisy, it's a witch hunt, and because I state this now, it's probably my apologies and my sincerity is just going to be waylaid because I've pulled them up on it, because I've judged them, because I've expressed the hard facts and truth. You have deeply and emotionally, you have deeply and emotionally affected me on such an intimate level. I'm all about art, I'm all about supporting, and to have these labels tainting me, it's barbaric and it's unfounded and it's exasperating.
Well, don't worry. Coming on here and talking about it, the worst someone can do is take a sound bite and try to twist it. But if they do that, if they're out of context, and you always have my back on that, at least from this interview anyway.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
I'll say that. I don't know your past, though. I don't know what you can do in the future, but I'll say that right now. Yeah, don't take that as a golden ticket to do something now. Do something crazy. But I will say that, I think it makes it. I think what makes it easy to, I don't know, is that Nihilism Revised, it invites transgression, right? It's transgressive literature. It's in-your-face, brutal, unapologetic story. So it's very dark. It's even darker, definitely darker and grimier and grittier than Deadman's Tome. It definitely has that like in-your-face, like unapologetic appeal. I like that. I dig that. That's cool.
Thank you.
It also it also invites people who are like, wait a second, I got something that's transgressive. I have something. You have to watch out for them. But if someone can look at that and be like, wait, do you all publish rape?
No.
So no.
It's very different just writing about something versus doing it in real life. Because if we're judging people by what they write about, then, Stephen King is a serial killer, basically because he's killed so many characters off.
True. And Stephen King would be a racist, too, if we're judging by the way.
And Stephen King has a thing about incest. Stephen King has a thing about cars. Stephen King has a thing about underage kids having sex with each other. What's wrong with that guy? He's a really
Don't
great
forget
writer.
about the train. People call it a gangbang. That wasn't a gangbang. That was a train. They ran a train on it. Everyone took turns. A gangbang was when they're all doing it at the same time. No.
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to be pedantic on that, but, all right. But so I could see why people were like, man, I don't know. Do you feel like the subject matter that Nihilism Revised is focuses on makes it easy to be attacked?
No, because this is the first time anything of this ilk has happened. Our most recent releases have been very bizarro-oriented and based around poetry. We're not just one thing at Nihilism Revised. We encapsulate all forms of art. We've got Donald Armfield. We just released one of the most successful anthologies in the small press. Anthologies are so bloody hard to get off their feet and sell. And we sent one out on a limited edition with a Jim Poser cover, sold out like hotcakes. And we have such a plethora of people. The most dangerous art comes from SC and myself. And if anything, people have engaged with it in such a positive light, and it's beautiful to see. And we've not had backlash like this ever before.
And you know what? Let's talk about your art real fast. And that sounds amazing. I mean, getting an anthology out there like that to just sell out.
Well, in C.V. Hunt's opinion, we're scam artists. This is the thing that's annoyed me. It's allowed everyone who's got a certain opinion to crawl out of their hole and to make more accusations. C.V. Hunt said we're scam artists, that we didn't pay our writers, and that it's a non-existent product. And it's just like, do your research. Go online. See what we've released. See the authors we have. We have Alice Johnson.
I mean, how is that even like a thing? People saying you're a scam publisher. I don't even get that.
Well, it makes sense in their minds.
Well, I mean, so why are they coming at you like that? Like, what are they
I don't
using?
know. Truthfully, I think they're threatened. I have always been opinionated surrounding certain select individuals, not as a whole, in the UK and US horror scene and horror press. My first 2 years in the scene was the most awful experience. There were users, there were manipulators, and I spent 2 years writing short stories for anthologies that never saw the light of day. I was writing pieces for certain publishers because they'd coerced me. And until I met S.C. Burke, I discovered what I was born to write. I'm a transgressive writer. I'm experimental. I call myself an autistic writer. If you read Eat Your Keyboard, the ferocity, the claustrophobia in the typography and the structure, that's my brain. The rapid fire, the unpredictability, the non-linearity, that's what it's like. I explain. This is my overall mantra. Experimentalism saves the fat boy. Experimentalism's going to kill the fat boy. That is my therapy. That is my function. You mean the nuclear bomb?
When you say fat boy, do you mean the nuke?
No, me!
Oh. Okay. I was like, what? Okay.
I'm the fat boy.
Oh, you're the fat boy. Okay. Okay, because I don't know if any sort of literature can kill the atom bomb. Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess there's only two cities never been atomic bombed, so well, hopefully it'll never happen again. But I guess that's a whole other topic.
We live in interesting times.
Yeah.
Petrifying.
Well, I think when you're writing about, a subject matter that's very out there, that's very disturbing, there's always a certain risk that people will take it the wrong way, that there'll be controversy, because if anybody, remembers what happened, when American Psycho was released, back in the early 90s, Bret Easton Ellis got death threats, and the original publisher dropped the book. Because it was so controversial.
That book had a kid die in it, too. It had necrophilia.
Yeah, it went way further than just that.
Oh, yeah. And I like that book. That's one of my favorites. Okay, so let's talk about your work real fast, Mr. Ferguson. Let's talk about Eat Your Keyboard. Tell me about that book.
It's a transgressive experimental novel that is my love letter to William S. Burroughs' cut-up method. Except I didn't do it in the fashion. I wrote it like that. I wrote it. It came from my fingertips. It's all my suppressed emotions. It's my subconscious. It's my id extrapolated on the page. My hang-ups, my insecurities, my mania. It's an autistic book because it's therapy. It saved me. And through NR publishing me, I had a platform where people are reading it and engaging on it on a minute level that even to myself, it makes me, reflect upon it. It's a very difficult book, but it's pushing a certain not thought but aura. It's an atmosphere. My writing is about atmosphere. It's about opening up conceptions of thought. It's about viewing literature through a completely different rhythm. It's like, you think you know literature? Well, see what I've done to it. And a lot of people have said, is this bad writing? Is this just terrible writing? Or am I missing out on something? That is what I wanted. Is this guy just literally just making up his own rules and just discarding everything he's learnt at school or around him? And I love that thought. So everybody who's kind of engaged with it in a positive manner, I'm like, ugh. But anyone who's engaged with it on a perplexed manner, that is the effect I wanted. I want people to have it on their mind. I want it to make them question, am I not looking at literature in the right way? Am I missing out on something? And it's fun, it's playful, and it's dangerous. That's the type of danger I encourage. Not real violence, not rape.
Dangerous art, not dangerous people.
Exactly, thank you. Yeah, that's it.
You're welcome. I'd just like to add, too, because you mentioned William S. Burroughs, that he's from my hometown, St. Louis, Missouri, and the apartment that I lived in when I was really little was just a couple blocks away from Burroughs' childhood home, so I just thought that's an interesting tidbit about me.
I would set up a tent outside that property and probably get escorted off it.
No, it's a nice little neighborhood there. If you ever go to St. Louis, I can show you where it's at.
Well, I am planning to come over on a mini book tour next year in America. I will definitely come your way.
That's cool.
No,
you better stop here.
I read a little bit of your book, Eat Your Keyboard, and because I was like, man, I gotta look at this because people are describing as a very autistic, and you even described it as very autistic. I was like, what does that even mean? What does that mean? I gotta see what this book looks like. And on Amazon, it didn't let me it gave me a look inside. So I was like, man, I gotta read it. So I'm glad you gave me a copy. And
Amazon didn't want to send you into shock.
Yeah, and I was like, man. But I looked into it, man. It does grab you. It grabs you right away. It's like the opener's talking about literally writing on a keyboard, pushing the keys on the keyboard and what that means, as if it's a whole, I don't know, it's just a another way to look at writing and the whole process of creating, and just that's pretty wow right there.
That's just what I'm all about. I said, did that come out really cocky? I was meant to come out very humble. That's what I'm all about, baby.
Well, now you're getting cockier.
Well, I mean, you're a very brave writer, whether you're cocky or humble or whatever. Takes a lot of guts to break all the rules like that.
Yeah, and the rules were broken. There's paragraphs that are not indented. There's ones that are indented too much. There's ones that are indented just right. There's like...
thank you for spotting that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Jesse.
I was like, is this intentional? This has to be intentional because it looks like...
Thank you.
Now, I don't know what it means. There's like a message behind it. That is lost to me. I'll admit that. I'm not going to fake that. But and then it starts going to what this whole thing between a producer and a creator and a director. It's like it really that seems like what is that metaphor between like the creative mind and the id and the ego and.
Yeah, it's that those motions, the machinations. It's that blockade. It's your id. It's you fighting your self emulation, your self projection. It's you fighting that PC filter. It's about you tearing everything apart. It's about your consciousness being overridden by the subconscious. We don't know what's going on back there, but when it slowly seeps in, it seems to unravel and reveal things to you that enlighten you.
Okay, so when you were writing it, like, what was your process? Was it just like a one take? Like you sat down and started just like banging on the keyboard?
I literally just destroyed my keyboard. I hashed it out for a good 2 weeks, and it was a finished product. But a lot went into the edit with the strategic indentions, the not indentions, the typographical. And S.C. Burke really delved in deep on that book with me on a symbiotic level, which our relationship is. And Eat Your Keyboard is going to be a sequence. I've already finished the second one, Destroy Your Keyboard, which is twice as long and twice as nonsensical.
Bigger and better.
Bigger and better.
Twice as what? Like, you just go into laughter right there. Now I got to look at that.
Well, I've got a transgressive experimental novel that is 600 plus pages coming out in September called A Taste of Feeling. It's more linear, but it's all about different potentialities and different reactions, how one man could move a spoon slightly to the left, and how is that going to ripple in the tapestry of time?
Oh, wow.
That type of thought.
But it sounds like...
that's a hell of a lot to think about.
But you could make that work. You could make that work. Like, judging from your writing so far, you could probably write a whole story about like some guy just, like you said, moving a spoon across the tapestry on a table and make it interesting and like even brutal and in your face and just, I don't know.
Oh, thank you so much. That means
most
a
people
lot.
would just be like, you moved the spoon on across the table. All right, next, you know.
I wouldn't even mention the spoon moving across the table because I'm a screenwriter, and that would be called unnecessary description.
Yeah.
Screenwriting standards.
And even if you did, the director would be like, "What's this? You telling me what to do now?"
Yeah. I'll move that spoon wherever the hell I want.
The director's like, "I'll tell you what, it's not gonna be a spoon. It's gonna be a fucking fork. You like that?"
Or a spork, just,
Yeah.
settle the conflict once and for all.
Go all David Lynch. Tell everyone to bugger off so he can focus in on a pile of dog shit like he did with Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, right. Oh man. So I was reading the comments about you, like what they say, like the new face of British Bizarro. Is that right?
Yes, from Chris Kelso, bless him.
Look at that.
It's less Bizarro and more, and I think this is what taps into a lot of controversy surrounding me. My overall opinion on Bizarro, it's not one thing. it can be whatever you want it. But my opinion isn't very select on Bizarro. I don't have opinion on it as a genre. If it's something to label my work as, fine. But I'm just, to heart, just a transgressive experimental writer. And I think this is at a point that it was a debutant release and everyone's kind of like, how the fuck are we going to describe this? What is this?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to Bizarro in your writing, like, do you find it to be a reaction to societal pressures? Like, is it reflecting on things?
Oh yes, definitely. There's a segment. I don't know if the most bizarro element in that book is a segment called "The Human Hubcap," about a man who is a human hubcap on the side of a bus, and he latches onto different vehicles. He's like a hitchhiker.
Oh, yeah, that's a hitchhiker.
Yeah, that's a very original concept right there.
Yeah.
Do you want to pay me $5?
Never heard of something like that before.
Pay me $5, Richard, and you can make it into a short film.
Yeah, I could probably think of something like that. Like, how did somebody even get into becoming a human hubcap in the first place?
It was really difficult. It was so difficult to describe. I spent a lot of time pacing up and down my road trying to figure out how to latch myself onto a car, and all my neighbours were looking at me like, what are you doing? Are you vandalising my vehicle? I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
What? So
Yeah.
So in your process of doing research for this, you were actually stalking people's cars, or like? Yeah.
Oh, luckily enough,
Method writing.
Luckily enough, my neighbours are pretty laid back and chilled out. This woman Doreen came out and she's like, "Do you want to take it for a drive?" I'm like, "I don't have a license. I'm just studying the hubcap."
Did they ask you if you're on drugs?
Everyone assumes that. No, I've never touched a drug in my life. The only drug is my subconscious, and coffee and cigarettes.
Yeah, coffee and cigarettes. Yeah. Wow. Man, now I want to know more about your process. Now I want to know more about your process. Now, like, what is the craziest thing you've done for writing research, if you will?
My craziest thing that I have ever done. Oh God, I've done loads of things, and it's always dictated by my naivety and my need to. I love studying people. I love also testing people. I like kind of playing certain characters, and seeing how they react. And I remember I hunched myself over. I was whittering to myself. I took it upon myself to act like a leper, and I was just walking through town one day, muttering to myself.
Like
like a leper. Bent over, muttering
leper,
to myself.
leopard, animal, or sick guy.
A drunken, dirty hobo, though I'm very clean and look like a 20-year-old who's just got a hunched back.
Pretending to be a hobo.
Okay.
And I was just pacing through town, and I thought, I'm wearing bright, shiny khaki shorts. I'm wearing Converse. I'm wearing a Batman T-shirt. I'm hunched over. How is everyone going to react if I start acting like the local hobo, a local misfit? So I just started screaming at pigeons, just being generally not causing any trouble to anyone, but I just wanted to see how people would react and how they would pass me, if they would approach me.
We got another caller here. I wonder if we can add them to the call. What is this?
Ooh, who's that?
I don't know. I wasn't expecting.
I don't know. We got a mystery caller.
Yeah,
no, it's not that Bernardara.
Let me see if we can answer them real fast. I'm going to answer them and I'll place you on hold. One moment. All right, you're on the. What is this? What is static? I'm not playing around with that. Screw that. I don't know what the hell that was. But if your mic doesn't work, I'm hanging up real fast. Okay, I'm back. I clicked to answer, but oh wait, they're calling again. They're calling. Let me try one more time. Their mic wasn't working or something, so I just hung up. Let's see, what do they want? All right, you're on the Deadman Tome podcast. What's going on? And you hung up. Okay, yeah, they hung up. I'm not going to answer them again. All right, it could have been a prank. I have no idea. Could have been a stalker. Maybe it was someone.
I wonder if it was Will Bernardara.
I don't know. Could be anyone. Oh, maybe it was someone that wanted to say they're sorry or hop on a hubcat. Maybe
they want their hubcat back. Yeah.
I
don't know.
You stole someone's hubcap?
My grandfather's. I did things with it that he will never know about.
Oh shit! That was probably him then. Let me see the phone number. It doesn't look like an American phone number.
Yeah, well,
Granddad, don't do it.
Yeah,
everybody's got to make amends eventually.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like an American phone number. I've never seen a number like this. I would give it away, but that violates internet doxing laws. So, yeah, never seen a number like that before.
I wonder who it is.
I don't know. We'll never know. They're like the boogeyman of Deadman's Tome could be.
Ooh, so
this is interesting though. I'm glad you guys came on to talk about this because it was I've never really crossed paths with you guys, and here we are, and we're talking about this.
I've been listening to your podcast quite frequently recently, also. So when you mentioned me in your podcast, I was like, oh shit! Another person that I admire thinks I'm an arsehole.
Well, I don't remember what I said exactly, but I know I said your name. But it was just like come on to talk about it. I think that was the gist of it. I might have said something more hyperbolic. I'm not sure.
No, I just think that with everyone, I think everyone anticipates me to come out and defend Will Bernardara, and that's never been the case.
At the time when I recorded it, I believe I was on the mindset that you were defending based on what I had, but that's kind of like what this boils down to is you only really can operate. You can only go by what you know at the time, not what you find out after the fact. You find out something out after the fact, okay, you adjust.
And that's what happened with me and Will Bernardara.
And I think that's that and guilt by association, man. I think that's a good way to kind of sum this up.
Yeah.
Well, man, we're here for time. I mean, I really do appreciate you guys coming on and talking about this. I really think it does help clear the air. And
I hope so. I do hope so.
I really do too.
Yeah, hopefully, in a week from now, this will all be ancient history, and we can just get back to
creating
our lives and trying to disturb people through art instead of through behavior.
It will be. It will. I'm sure it will. This is a storm in a teacup. That's what this is.
Yes.
It's going to blow over. You're not the enemy. They want you to be the enemy, but you're not the enemy. You're not. They're mad at Will. They need to focus on him. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right. Well, no problem, guys. And ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this, press the heart button. It means a lot. And share it around. Leave a comment. And thank you. Thank you so much.